Hello everyone, and today I'll be reading an Albedo Listener by me, so let's get into it. When you worked with Albedo, you knew he was very serious. After all, he had a very firm work ethic, and he was very strict about it too. So you thought that working with him could prove to be quite hard. However, unlike your expectations, things were rather quite weird and a little unusual. A few months in, of course. At first, he was very lenient with you, all smiles and sweetness. It was indeed something you did not at all see coming. After all, Albedo, chief alchemist of the Knights of Favonius, he did not seem like someone who would be so gentle and sweet. In fact, from far away, you didn't know, someone with a huge ego. Considering all he did, that must be how he is now. But up close, he noticed how gentle of a soul he is, how nice and kind he could be. When you were tired or sick, he would always give you breaks, telling you that it's never good to push yourself. And honestly, he's so nice, even when you know you could be just a little bit better the most, when you could be working, and you know you're not that tired. But he insists that you should come first. And perhaps that's when you started feeling things for him. When it gave you those gentle smiles, those concerned glances, and those looks that you could not explain. Sometimes it was utterly unreadable, but you knew that they meant something nice. But you couldn't just put a name on it. You couldn't know what he meant, or what he wanted. But what you knew is that you were attracted to him, far more than a normal person should be. Far more than a person who had a relationship that was supposed to be just a professional one should go. Your feelings went further and further until you knew that you had fallen deep for him. But maybe it was the fate of everyone who worked with him. You can't imagine how much it would take not to love him, because Albedo was just so easy to love. Not to mention, he was quite beautiful too. So that just made things all the more harder for you. You would spend your mornings at work, distracted, looking at him, staring, and wondering just how life could be if you could be together. Of course, all of that stayed in the realm of daydreams. Something that you thought that this would never get out of. But perhaps Albedo just had a habit of subverting your own expectations and changing your mind about him entirely. And that's when it started. The flirting, the smirks that he gave you, those weird looks that you couldn't just do anything with. It's like you were paralyzed for the rest of the day. Your heart, your heart dancing, unable to rest. All because of one look or one word he would say. Such was the way that Albedo made you crazy. And that's why you knew that this just had to end. You had to reach somewhere with this. Did he like you? I mean, it sounded far-fetched, but his looks were not normal. He surely just was not a boss to you. There was something deeper to our relationship, and you wanted to know what it was. You wanted to know anything that could advance your relationship from this to more. And it looks like your wishes were just about to come true one day. When you had been to work on a winter night, you were trembling, cold, and honestly regretted coming in at all today, knowing that probably you should have just rested, just like he told you. He told you it would be extremely cold, and that you'd be better off just writing whatever reports you can at home and giving them to him later. It's not like you're in a hurry or something. But since you admired him so much and loved him, you didn't want him to be disappointed in you. You wanted to be good for him too. So that's why you kept pushing yourself to do better and better. hoping to just impress him a little bit on any day, although it would be hard to impress him since he was the best, perhaps on all of Teyvat, but you did your best too. However, it was freezing, and you felt like you were just regretting every choice you had made. Maybe it was just not the right day. Maybe you should have tried to impress him any other day than this. But then you noticed those glances, and the way he sneakily looked at you. And after a few minutes, he pressed a warm mug into your hand, telling you it was just hot chocolate for you to warm up. And you smiled up at him, blushing, thanking him. And he didn't leave. He kept staring at you, and you blushed brighter. Albedo? What's wrong? You asked, feeling like you were going to faint any second now, from the way his gaze was devouring you. But then, suddenly, he cupped your face in his hands, kissing you deeply, and you almost dropped the mug, but he put it down for you, and pressed you even closer, the two of you forgetting about everything else as you melted into the kiss. And dare you say, it was the best kiss that you thought you would ever have in your entire life, because it was the best one you've ever had, and did not think there could be any better. And soon, his arms wrapped around your waist, and then he began to pick you up, still kissing you, and put you down on his desk. And that's when you broke away from the kiss, blushing brightly. Mr. Albedo, I don't think It's just, this is not appropriate at all. It's not. Hey, I'm your boss, aren't I? And for me, it's beyond appropriate if I'm the one asking for it. And you blushed brighter at that, speechless. And it's not like there was anything to say to that, because he was right. He gets to pick the rules, right? And that's when he made out with you again. And this time, you wrapped your arms around him, one hand in his hair and the other around his neck, pulling him even closer and closer, desperate for him, to touch him, to feel him, and all those years of yearning coming to a close. And that's when you knew that Master Albedo was quite a bit different than you've always really thought, and that your relationship must have much more coming in the way, especially if it was bound to be like that once you go to work again. And even though you ended up with a cold, you had decided that you did not regret coming in that day at all.